It took me 7 years to realize that Asher had an unforgettable first love. Just because that girl had a similar experience to his first love, he lost control and became reckless. He even cheated on me and sneaked out on our wedding anniversary. So, I want to ask, if you're so infatuated, why did you mess with me? Am I some kind of cheap thing? 01 Today is my wedding anniversary with Asher, and I'm quite happy. We pushed aside our work and made time for it. Asher reserved a restaurant, bought flowers, and gave me a gift. After dinner, he asked me if there was anywhere I wanted to go or anything I wanted to do, and it was up to me. I said, let's go home. I'd rather watch a movie and chat, and stay together quietly, just the two of us, rather than deal with the hustle and bustle outside. I was cutting a fruit plate in the kitchen while he was opening a bottle of red wine in the living room. Vaguely, I thought I heard him talking on the phone. It seemed that something had happened, making his voice a bit low. What's wrong? When I came out after washing my hands, he had already changed into a shirt and was buttoning it. Vince and Wendy are arguing again. I'm going to check it out. Give Wendy a call and ask her where she is. His words made me stop drying my hands. I looked up and was silent for a long time, just looking at Asher quietly. Until he picked up his coat. Out of the blue, I blurted out, "Do you like Wendy?" I wanted to say, "Do you like Wendy, or do you like Vince?" I don't understand. Is it Vince and Wendy who are in a relationship, or is it Vince, Wendy, and Asher? Why does Asher have to get involved every time they argue? This is already the 3rd time in half a month. I was so angry that I had a lot to complain about. But one look from Asher silenced me. His hand stopped, and he looked back at me. That look was extremely cold, as if a basin of ice water had been poured over my head. He threw the coat back onto the sofa. If you don't want me to go, just say so. There's no need to say such things. If others hear this, it will only make things worse for Wendy and Vince. With that, he went to the balcony with a cigarette. I stood there stiffly. Only later did I realize that I was wronged. And although he didn't leave as I wanted, it didn't make me feel better. Instead, I felt even sadder. 02 Vince is Asher's childhood friend. Wendy is a designer assistant in my company. Their relationship started a year and a half ago. For the first 3 months, they were very much in love. Later, although there were some conflicts, they were not serious. Until Vince's family started to oppose it. Until Wendy's dignity was trampled on. Just like that, the two became enemies. They couldn't break up, nor could they get along well. Every time they argued, either Vince would turn around and leave, or Wendy would delete and block him and disappear. Vince couldn't bring himself to make up, but he was worried about Wendy. So he asked Asher to help him find her. Wendy had a lot on her mind and was very upset, but she didn't want to lower her head and talk to Vince directly. So she asked Asher to convey her feelings. Once, twice, 3 times. I don't know who became addicted to this. I only know that in this house, I heard more and more often, Vince and Wendy are arguing again. It was as if I could hear this even in my dreams. I don't know when I fell asleep. Asher never came back to the bedroom. I thought he was in the study or the guest room until I suddenly woke up and went downstairs for a drink. The coat that had been on the sofa was gone. My heart skipped a beat, and I froze in place. I knew where Asher had gone without even thinking. But I still called him. After a few seconds of waiting, a soft female voice came through. "Hello, President Sylvia." I gritted my teeth and closed my eyes in frustration. When I opened them again, I asked coldly, "Where's Asher?" "I have a stomachache, and Mr. Asher is making ginger tea with brown sugar for me." Wendy spoke very slowly and softly, with a nasal tone. But I felt as if I had been hit hard by a gong, and even my eardrums were vibrating. "President Sylvia, I'm sorry to trouble you again." "I know. You don't know." Wendy's words were still going on, but I lost my patience to listen. I sneered. "Wendy, Is it impossible for your relationship to continue without a third party's involvement? Whether I'm your boss or Asher's wife, Wendy, you're annoying me. 03 Actually, it was Asher who was annoyed by Wendy first. The first time she called Asher was to ask if Vince was with him. Asher said, no. Wendy was silent for a while. Well, Mr. Asher, do you know where he is? Don't know. Asher was very formal and even a bit cold. Later, Vince complained that Asher didn't cover for him. Asher gave him a glance. This is the first and last time. Don't bother me with such stupid things again. This worked, but not completely. Later, Wendy still called Asher. Every time, it was to check up on Vince. And Asher still answered because Vince begged him. Just think of it as coaxing a child. Just say a few words to her. She lacks a sense of security. For a while, Asher got so annoyed that he would scowl whenever he heard the phone ring. I thought it was quite interesting and comforted him. Well, they're just kids. That's how young people are when they're in love. When did all this start to change? Probably when Vince's family began to oppose their relationship. That day was a mess. Vince called Asher and asked him to take Wendy away from his family. I went with Asher. Wendy cried in the car for a long time. Asher smoked a lot outside the car. Later, Asher's attitude towards Wendy became gentler. I noticed this through a phone call. One day, Asher called me before coming back and asked if I wanted to eat something. I said no. But later I suddenly wanted to eat the small cakes at the door, so I called him again. The phone showed that he was on a call. 10 minutes later, I called again, and he was still on the phone. He didn't hang up until he got home. Nearly a quarter of an hour later, the call finally ended. I asked who he was talking to. He said, Wendy. She had an argument with Vince and has been crying. I was a bit surprised. Asher wasn't a very patient person. But today, he listened to Wendy complain for almost an hour. Why would she talk to you? Probably she wants me to empathize with her and then teach Vince a lesson. Because of this, I didn't pay much attention to their frequent contact for a long time. And as time passed, they seemed to get closer. Why is she sharing your drink? I've told her many times. She's like a child. I'll always remember the look on Asher's face when he said this. He shook his head and sighed, half helpless, half amused, with his brows and eyes relaxed and the corners of his mouth raised. It was like a doting father to a child. 04 Asher got home an hour and a half later. If he had gone to Wendy's place, it wouldn't have taken him more than 40 minutes to come back. But he took an hour and a half. I didn't want to guess what had happened during that time from when I hung up the phone until he left and came home. I chose to ask directly. Asher looked visibly tired. He sat on the sofa, hunched over, with his arms propped on his legs. He said, "You shouldn't have made that call." His words were like a spark that lit the fuse. I exploded instantly. Asher, do you want to talk to me about what's right and wrong? You promised me not to go out but sneaked out. Is that right? You were alone with a woman in the middle of the night. Is that right? Ginger tea with brown sugar? How long did you search for recipes to make it? Is that right? You disregarded my feelings again and again for another woman. Is that right? Ha, you're so right. I think you'd better be single. I was so angry that my eyes were red, and my eyeballs were so strained that they ached. I was so tense that my whole body was shaking. Even my voice was unconsciously choked. I turned around and rushed back to the bedroom, slamming the door shut. Not breaking down in tears was my last bit of dignity. After some time, in the dark, Asher groped his way in. With a rustling sound, he lay down beside me. He sighed and put his arms around me. I was wrong. This is the last time. I promise I won't interfere anymore. In the dark, I stared straight ahead, neither responding nor rejecting. During the time I was in the bedroom, after all the emotions had erupted, I calmed down. I went over everything that happened tonight from beginning to end. I suddenly realized something that had made me uncomfortable from the start. Do you like Wendy? If you don't want me to go, just say so. There's no need to say such things. If others hear this, it will only make things worse for Wendy and Vince. He didn't defend himself. I asked him if he liked Wendy, and he didn't defend himself. He wasn't even worried that I would misunderstand. He was only worried that what I said would affect Wendy. After all, it was Wendy and Vince's business. The order matters a lot. It's not Vince and Wendy's business. 05 So you suspect that Asher really likes Wendy? That's impossible. My best friend found it unbelievable. After all, she's Vince's girlfriend. Even if he had other ideas, Wendy shouldn't be the one. He's just doing it for Vince's sake. I chuckled. For Vince's sake? You're also his childhood friend. Would he make ginger tea with brown sugar for you when you have a stomachache? My best friend's eyes widened. Ginger tea with brown sugar? He'd probably think I look more like ginger tea with brown sugar. Yeah, I've never had it either. My best friend and I were both silent. After a long time, she asked me, "What are you going to do?" I rubbed my temples. I need some time alone. I went on a business trip for a week without telling Asher. I only sent him a message before getting on the plane. The atmosphere between us had been very tense for the past 2 days. He tried to break the ice and talk to me actively. But Asher wasn't the kind of person who would humble himself. After I didn't give him a response, he also fell silent. During the days of the business trip, I started to think in my free time. When I took myself out of that environment, I seemed to be able to view the whole thing more objectively. In fact, I had minded it for a long time. I had minded the contact between Asher and Wendy for a long time. But I didn't say anything and kept tolerating it. Just because Wendy was Vince's girlfriend. Just because suspecting Asher and Wendy seemed too absurd. But if we put aside the relationship between Vince and us, the contact between Asher and Wendy was indeed too close. I remember it was a week ago. Vince and Wendy had an argument for some reason. Vince looked angry and drove away, leaving Wendy behind. Later, Vince called Asher and asked him to take Wendy home. Asher was silent for a long time and then said 4 words, "What a jerk." He quickly grabbed the car keys and left without even saying goodbye to me. He didn't come back that night until dawn. I asked him why it took so long. He said Wendy was in a bad mood and didn't want to go home, so he accompanied her to play pool in the billiard hall all night. She told me to leave. But it was the middle of the night, and she's a girl. Vince entrusted her to me. I couldn't just leave her alone. It seemed that everything and everyone was reasonable, and I was just overthinking. But looking at it from the outside, it was wrong. It just wasn't so wrong that it would cause a disaster. So do I have to endure it? Why? 06 Asher and Vince had a falling out. This was the news I received on the 4th day of my business trip. My best friend sent me a video. In the video, Asher covered Wendy with his coat and held her in his arms. Vince came after them with a cold face. "Stop. She's my girlfriend." Asher's expression was indifferent, and the glance he gave back was full of sarcasm. "Vince, since you can't control the people in your family and can't protect her, I have to take her away." It was said that Vince's sister went to see Wendy, holding a check and an offer from a well-known foreign company, asking her to leave. "You know the influence of our President Stella." She directly told Wendy that she could never marry into the Vince family. Instead of wasting her best years on a man, she should strive for a good future for herself. This President Stella of the Vince family is resolute and decisive. As an elder sister a few years older than us, she has always been a role model. It's not surprising that she could say such things. After all, I also received a message from her. Just 10 minutes ago. It was just one sentence: "Take care of Asher, or I'll do it for you." I gently tapped the table. I remember that at the beginning, when Vince's parents strongly opposed the relationship, President Stella didn't say a word. She wasn't interested in meddling in these love-related matters. But now she stepped in, so something must have happened. So I called the design department and asked about Wendy's recent work situation. She hasn't come to work for a week. Who approved her leave? She didn't ask for leave. And then? The person on the other end was silent. I just felt my temples throbbing. Inform her that our company has terminated the labor contract with her. An employee can be automatically dismissed for 3 days of unexcused absence from work. But she had been absent for a week without any consequences. I didn't even know that she had such privileges in my company. 07 The labor contract was terminated in the morning, and Asher called in the afternoon. He started with accusations. Sylvia, you've gone too far. Since when did you start bullying others like this? If you're unhappy, you can come at me. Why make things difficult for her? Do you think it's as easy to crush her as to crush an ant? Sylvia, you really disappoint me. Are you done? I interrupted him coldly. While you're yelling at me here, do you know that she's been absent from work for a week? Asher was suppressing his anger. I don't believe you don't know what happened in the Vince family. Sylvia, you're also a woman. Don't you have any empathy? I nodded and said, I finally understand why Wendy is so bold. You gave her the confidence, right? Making her think she can come and go in my company without giving any reasons. I'm sorry, not only does she not have such privileges, but you also don't have the power to allow that. I'm definitely firing Wendy. If you feel sorry for her, you can take her under your wing and protect her. I won't have any objections even if you give her the company. But Asher, you can't make decisions for me. 08 I returned to the country at noon the next day. That afternoon, I went to Asher's company with a lawyer. Before seeing Asher, I saw Wendy. She was wearing a capable business suit, her hair tied up, and with light makeup. She was arranged in the president's office by Asher. My eyes glanced over her but didn't stop. But she suddenly stood up. President Sylvia. President Sylvia, I want to talk to you. I didn't stop walking. She rushed up and grabbed my arm. Her face was flushed, and her eyes were filled with grievance and humiliation. Yes, you're the boss, you're rich. But just because you're rich, you can insult people like this? The whole place fell silent. Everyone looked at us. My face was as calm as water. I broke free from her and asked, very puzzled, why are you so easily insulted? You suspect that I have an improper relationship with Mr. Asher, you fire me without reason, and even when I took the initiative to call you, you ignored me. Isn't this an insult? Just because you're rich, you can be so disrespectful? All right, stop talking. Asher rushed over. He stood in front of me, blocking my sight, and said in a softened tone, Is there something you want to talk to me about? Let's go inside and talk. He seemed to be lowering his stance towards me, but I knew he was protecting Wendy. But there was someone who was really rash. Wendy shouted angrily, Miss Sylvia, don't you think you should apologize to me? Wendy, go to work. Asher's low growl made Wendy, who had been holding on to her dignity, red-eyed. He tried to pull me into the office, but I stood still and pushed him away. Do you want to discuss right and wrong with me? Wendy, I remember once you had an argument with Vince because Vince carried a bag for a female friend. You cried and made a scene as if they had slept together on the spot. So let me ask you, you were alone with my husband in the middle of the night, either staying in the same room or going for a walk, and even needed him to make ginger tea with brown sugar for you. Shouldn't you two be drowned in a pig cage? I didn't. Wendy's face turned red. I have a clean relationship with Mr. Asher. We didn't do anything. I clicked my tongue. So the same thing is unforgivable when others do it, but clean when you do it? Why are you so double standard? Mr. Asher came to me. Oh. I looked at Asher. Did you hear that? She's calling you cheap. I didn't. Asher's face had turned dark. He squeezed my wrist tighter and tighter. All right, let's go inside. Slap. I slapped Asher's hand away and stared at him with cold eyes. Get out of the way. It's not your turn to talk to me yet. Wendy, if you think my dismissal of you is against the rules, then sue me. If you think my attitude has insulted your dignity, then get out of my husband's company. You're still enjoying the favor of someone else's husband, but you think the wife didn't give you a smile. How shameless you are. You keep saying this one insults you, that one insults you. What about Asher? He's hung up on you, ignored you, and didn't want to talk to you more than once. It seems you don't hold grudges at all. If you could give Vince's family a little of the patience and tolerance you have for Asher, you and Vince would have gotten married long ago. 09 Sylvia. Asher's voice wasn't loud, but his gaze on me was heavy. His look of wanting to settle accounts with me later made me feel that bringing a lawyer was a very correct decision. So without giving him a chance to speak, I threw the divorce agreement in front of him. This is the draft I made. You can take a look first. If you have any dissatisfaction, talk to my lawyer. Today, we should try to finalize the contract. Tomorrow, I'll file a lawsuit. But before that, I want to make sure that in court, your answer will be to agree to the divorce. Asher froze. His eyes stayed on the table for a long time, then moved to my face. You want a divorce? Yes. Sylvia, how far do you want to take this? Do you really have to wait until something really happens between me and Wendy to think it's normal? I sat across from him calmly. It's strange. You clearly know that some things cross the line, but you still do them. You test my bottom line step by step and keep lowering it. I thought my tolerance for you would make you value me more, but you think I should be more tolerant. It turns out that no matter who it is, they will push their luck. Asher, if you want to meddle in their affairs, go ahead. If you want to be the third party in their relationship, be my guest. Don't talk to me about right and wrong, don't talk to me about reason. I won't buy it. Before, I was too involved to see clearly. Now, I'm so rational that I'm even scared of myself. But Asher didn't agree to the divorce. If you mind Wendy's presence, I'll transfer her out of the president's office and arrange a new job for her. But Sylvia, I really have nothing with her. All my care for her is for Vince's sake. There's no personal feeling involved at all. I nodded. Okay, I got it. So can we get a divorce now? Asher's face darkened. Do you have to be so unreasonable? Asher, I've endured it. I leaned forward and stared at him. I endured you going to her, chatting with her, accompanying her for a walk. I could even endure it further, believing that you wouldn't really do anything with her. But I stopped it just once, on our wedding anniversary. And you didn't hesitate to lie to me, wait until I fell asleep, and then rush over. Am I some cheap thing? Or because I've endured so many times, you think I have a good temper and can be bullied by you? I stood up. Asher, I'm definitely getting a divorce. 10 ese dia, Asher y yo no legamos a un consenso sobre el divorcio. Para él, mi deseo de divorciarme era una simple petulancia. Para calmar mi ira, el traslado a Wendy al 12º piso. Mi amiga preguntó, ¿así que todavía no cree que estés en serio sobre el divorcio? No, él sí cree. De lo contrario, no habría movido a Wendy. Pero justamente porque esto sucedió después de que yo propusiera el divorcio, parecía completamente insignificante. Si él se niega a divorciarse, ¿qué planeas hacer? Él se divorciará. Ese día, me encontré con Vince. Originalmente, no tenía intención de saludarlo. Pero me detuvo. Sylvia, lo siento. Me volví y lo six, con una copa en la mano, recostado flojamente en la silla, con una air de derrota. Daijo, no los molester más. Wendy y yo nos hemos separado. Esto hizo que arquera una ceja. Vince ese tenso y luego sonrió amargamente. Esta vez es por verdad. Mi hermana tiene razón. Si Wendy realmente quería estar conmigo, debería acercarse a mi familia, disipar los conflictos. Pero ella siempre ha sido prejuiciada. Tan pronto como mi familia le mostraba un poco de emoción, ella se sentía ultrajada. Pero sus padres también me criticaban y me examinaban. Yo, sin embargo, seguía sonriendo y agachando la cabeza. ¿Por qué ella no puede hacerlo? Parece que siempre está calculando. Si ella da un poco, quiere que yo le devuelva 100 veces más. Solo puedo obedecerla y mamarla incondicionalmente, de lo contrario, es que la estoy perjudicando. Solo porque mi familia es más rica. No digo nada, pero es sentimentalmente. Probablemente Wendy pensara así. Ella era débil, así que tenía la razón. Se consideraba una víctima, pensando que todos la querían herir. Era agresiva con todo el mundo, incluso con Vince estaba llena de espinas, pero solo se mostraba vulnerable con Asher. Tenía que admitir que era bastante curioso. No hice ningún comentario sobre las quejas de Vince. Pero cuando estaba a punto de volvió a hablar. Sylvia, en realidad, no tienes que preocuparte. Asher no la trata de manera especial porque le gusta Wendy. Esto despertó mi interés. Me senté frente a él. Ah, entonces ¿por qué? Probablemente no sepas que en la secundaria, él se enamoró de una chica. Una estudiante de escasos recursos, una chica que podía continuar estudiando gracias a la ayuda económica de la familia de Asher. Asher estaba muy enamorado de ella. Tan pronto como terminó el examen de ingreso a la universidad, se la declaró. La chica le dijo que sí. Estuvieron juntos durante 3 meses. 2 meses de verano y un mes en la universidad. Después, su madre se enteró. Su madre le dijo, o te separas tú mismo, o yo me encargo. Asher nunca se ha superado esto. Siempre dice que si hubiera sido más firme y más fuerte, él y esa chica habrían salido adelante. He dice que no me rinde fácilmente. No quiere que la tragedia que vivió se repita. Dice que Alvaro Wendy se le viene a la mente esa chica. Esa chica que él abandonó. Era demasiado débil, así que solo podía soltarla. Luego se fue a estudiar fuera del país. Nos conocemos en aquel entonces. Él vivía al lado mío y, una vez, entró en mi habitación por equivocación cuando estaba borracho. Le di un golpe en la cabeza y llamé a la policía. Al principio, no nos caímos bien. Pero siendo de la misma ciudad y estando en el extranjero, nos acercamos sin darnos cuenta. De vez en cuando, él compraba una fruta extra y la ponía en mi puerta. Yo, de vez en cuando, cocinaba un plato extra y lo lamaba para que viniera a comer. Después, un ladrón entró en mi casa. Me escondí en el armario y le llamé temblando. Me dijo que no tuviera miedo, que me esperara. Esa vez, casi muero. El ladrón me agarraba del cuello y mi conciencia se iba apagando poco a poco. Asher llegó. Le dominó al ladrón y me llevó corriendo al hospital. Dijo que nunca había sentido tanto miedo. Así, nos enamoramos. Le pregunté si había tenido un primer amor. Dijo que no. Entonces, ¿somos el primer amor del otro? Sí. 11 Lo Meyer en silencio a Vince. Soes traicionar a alguien después de usarlo. Si realmente se debe culpar a Asher por tu ruptura con Wendy, fue tu quien la invitó. Vince se puso serios. ¿Y tú? ¿No lo has tolerado todo el tiempo? Sí, yo no había sido más decidida que nadie, ni más previsora. Solo era una persona común que se había desilusionado en el amor y el matrimonio. La tensión con Vince parecía que la ganó. Pero solo yo sabía que lo que me había dicho había causado una gran conmoción en mi corazón. Al regresar a casa, Asher estaba esperándome fuera. ¿Qué haces aquí? Venir a lavarte a casa. Viendo su actitud de caer dejar atrás el asunto, miré sarcásticamente. Asher, ¿por qué te importa tanto Wendy? Asher apretó los labios hasta formar una línea recta. No quería responder. Pero mi determinación de obtener una respuesta finalmente lo hizo hablar. Dijo, solo pienso que es una lástima que dos personas que se aman se separen solo por la diferencia de estatus social. Asentí. Con la mirada esperanzada de Asher en mí, dije, antes solo quería un divorcio amistoso. Pero ahora, Asher, me das asco. Probablemente nunca hubiera oído algo así en su vida. Apretó los dientes, y la mano colgada a su lado se cerró con fuerza, y su rostro se fue oscureciendo poco a poco. Sylvia, ¿realmente tiene que ser así? Me quedé en silencio por 2 segundos. ¿Se llama yo no a esa chica? La mirada de Asher se conmovió y se quedó sin habla. Solo una Wendy con una experiencia similar te hace perder el control hasta este punto. No me atrevo a imaginar cómo actuarías si la persona principal estuviera aquí. Si eres tan romántico, ¿por qué me diste la lata? ¡Qué asco! 12 No le volví a mencionar el divorcio a Asher. Incluso cuando lo hice mudarse, no lo volví a mencionar. Estaba esperando. Esperando el momento en el que el divorcio fuera inevitable. La imagen de Asher lavando a Wendy en brazos se filtró. Los primeros en atacar a Asher fueron sus padres. Tenían 2 peticiones. Primero, disculparse con la familia de Vince. Segundo, cortar todos los lazos con Wendy. Asher no aceptó ninguna. Así, a punto de cumplir los 30 años, su padre lo castigó con la disciplina familiar y lo mandó al hospital. Su madre me llamó, llorando, preguntándome qué hacer y pidiéndome que lo convenciera. Él te escucha más que a nadie. Pero ahora, yo soy la última persona a la que quiero ver. Cuando yo había perdido toda la dignidad, y cuando todos dicen que él estaba equivocado. Incluso si su elección actual no era correcta, él seguiría adelante sin importar nada. Esa era, supongo, su triste dignidad. La segunda persona en atacar a Asher fue la familia de Vince. Un negocio que Asher había estado intentando cerrar durante medio año fue interceptado por la familia de Vince. La presidenta Stella solo dijo, ¿crees que puedes meter en los asuntos internos de mi familia Vince, llevar a la novia de Vince en público y no pagar ningún precio? Esto hizo que Asher tuviera que regresar a trabajar enfermo para controlar la situación. Se dice que los accionistas tenían muchas objeciones. Se dice que el poder de decisión de Asher como presidente estaba en peligro. Se dice que no había salido de la empresa en 48 horas. Luego, Wendy me contactó. Su tono era de sufrimiento y de fingida firmeza. Presidenta Sylvia, mi ayer. Espero que puedas ayudar al señor Asher a superar esta dificultad. No quiero que el señor Asher sea criticado por mí. Somos inocentes. No importa si lo crees o no, siempre han sido ustedes los desagradables. Idiota. Si no fuera que ella no podía verme, lo hubiera dado el dedo. Colg y la bloqueé en todos los medios de contacto. Se dice que lo dijo lo mismo a la presidenta Stella y a Vince. Estas palabras no dijeron huela en la mente de la presidenta Stella. Pero realmente molestaron a Vince. Así que la presidenta Stella le quitó el teléfono y lo mandó fuera del país. En la familia de Asher, Wendy no estaba teniendo un buen momento. Aunque Wendy lo decía con mucha convicción, según lo que yo sé, LSE topo con Asher muchas veces, pero no podía acercarse a él. Asher la ignoraba, incluso SILSE que delante de él, no le daba más que una mirada. Pero, ¿por qué no la despide? ¿Por qué no quiere admitir que está equivocado? Y es como un niño turco. Aunque lo castigan por romper un libro, sigue llorando y rompiéndolo. Wendy es ese libro roto. La tercera persona en atacar a Asher fue mi padre. La petición era simple. Que se divorcien. De esta manera, todavía podemos cooperar en los negocios. De lo contrario, romperemos las relaciones. Mi familia Silvia no puede tolerar esto. En la mesa de negociations, Asher se levantó y se fue, sin importar cómo lo gritaba su padre. Después, nadie podía contactarlo. Su madre me llamó de nuevo, suplicando y quejándose. Silvia, después de tantos años juntos, ¿realmente tiene que llegar a esto? Asher teama, lo vio. Incluso siendo presionado hasta este punto, no quiere divorciarse. ¿También quieres echar más leña al fuego? Silvia, te lo pido, Lamali. Seguro que te contestará. En realidad, no era necesario. Asher estaba afuera de mi casa. Desde que lo 6 cuando cerré la ventana hasta ahora, habían pasado 3 horas. Estaba apoyado en el coche, fumando cigarrillo tras cigarrillo. No se acercó, ni intentó esconder su presencia. Simplemente estaba allí. Después, subí al segundo piso. Cuando corrí la cortina, él levantó la vista y me miró fijamente. Hasta que el cielo se iluminó ligeramente, el despertador me despertó. Ya no había rastro de él en la puerta. A las 10 de la mañana, mi abogado me contactó. Asher había aceptado el divorcio. Han pasado 27 días desde que present la demanda en el tribunal. El juicio de divorcio entre Asher y yo comenzará el próximo miércoles. 13 Pense que Asher no vendría, solo enviaría a su abogado. Pero no esperaba que viniera. Lavaba un traje impecable, pero se veía melancólico. Había adelgazado mucho, después de todo, había estado muy enfermo. De repente, record la evaluación de mi amiga. Dice que ahora Asher parece apático. Todo el juicio fue rápido. Los abogados de ambas partes presentaron sus argumentos, hubo una mediación judicial y, finalmente, se nos preguntó si queríamos divorciarnos. No dude. Asher se quedó en silencio por mucho tiempo. Hasta que el juez volvió a preguntar. Levantó la vista y dijo con una voz ronca, estoy de acuerdo en divorciarme. Suelto las manos que estaba apretando y suspiró profundamente. Hasta aquí, la relación matrimonial entre Asher y yo terminó. Ese día, no dijimos una palabra. Mientras esperaba a que mi assistant viniera a buscarme en el coche, él pasó a mi lado, sin dejarme ni una mirada. Me pareció bien. También pensé que así era todo entre Asher y yo. Hasta que su coche se detuvo afuera de mi casa durante una semana. Al principio, no me importó. Pero a medida que se volvía más descarado, me estaba volviendo más irritada. Así que, hoy, cuando leg tarde y su coche de nuevo, golpeé el vidrio de la ventana. No hubo movimiento en el coche. Lo mir fijamente durante un rato y, finalmente, la puerta se abrió. Asher, ¿qué demonios estás haciendo? Tenía la cabeza gacha y no dijo nada. Solo sentí que una bola de fuego se me formaba en el pecho. Asher, ¿alguna vez sabes lo que estás haciendo? Me volví para me agarró apresuradamente de la muñeca. Lo siento. Las disculpas salieron apresuradamente de su boca. Dijo, no quiero molestarte. Solo no puedo dormir. Entonces vi al médico y toma medicina. Dices que no quieres molestarme, pero en realidad me estás molestando. ¿Crees que no poder dormir por mí y tener que estar aquí fuera y es algo grandioso? ¿Debería estar conmovida o llorar? Si no puedes dormir y te sientes mal, tienes que asegurarte que yo lo veo y lo sepa, y que afecte mi vida normal. Asher, sigue siendo tan infantil y ridículo. Después de ese día, Asher y yo no nos vimos más. Solo que de vez en cuando, oía cosas sobre él. Por ejemplo, se había convertido en un adicto al trabajo. Por ejemplo, bebía hasta tener una hemorragia gástrica. Por ejemplo, solo porque alguien me había dicho dos palabras sarcásticas, lo mandó al hospital. Y sobre Wendy. Finalmente, ese fue de la empresa de Asher. Se dice que antes de le dio una bofetada a Asher. Diciendo que si no fuera por Asher, ella y Vince no habrían llegado a este punto. Y yo. Mi amiga no podía creer que lo hubiera superado tan fácilmente. Después de todo, habían sido 7 años reales. Cualquiera, por más decidido que sí, debería sentir tristeza durante mucho tiempo. En realidad, era cierto. Bia sola en la noche, tenía insomnio, a veces me despertaba de repente con palpitations y no podía volver a dormir. Pero no se lo dije a nadie. Soy una persona muy orgullosa. Incluso si estaba a punto de llorar, me resistió y cerraba las cortinas primero. Afortunadamente, este estado solo duró 3 meses. Luego, empecé a disfrutar de la libertad y la comodidad de estar sola. De vez en cuando, todavía me encontraba con Asher. Le daba un asentimiento y una sonrisa, como un saludo. Sin emociones innecesarias. Y él, se apresuraba a bajar la cabeza, tenía los ojos ligeramente enrojecidos, estaba lleno de desesperación o lo agarrotaba la garganta, y no me importaba. La historia entre Asher y yo había terminado, y mi vida seguía adelante con fuerza. Fin.